Having returned to find an empty house, Ryan assumed they were both asleep, though instead of joining them, he took to the kitchen, figuring perhaps breakfast would do everyone some good. Rain had missed her bed. Nuzzling the pillow, she caught the scent of food, which caused her to start downstairs. Setting a place at the table, the smell of eggs and sausage permitted. "You know how to cook?" "Of course," Ryan chuckled, placing the bacon beside a bowl of eggs. "You seem surprised. Is that so shocking?" "A bit. I thought most guys didn't know how to cook." "Depends, I guess. I learned from a friend of mine. I've been told I'm pretty good at it. If I wasn't, I'm sure I would have heard something from Soren or Christy by now. Without me, the two of them would starve." "It is good." Rain picked apart a strip. She hadn't learned how to make breakfast food, although she felt proud of herself for making the most out of Campbell soups. "So, you're like their protector?" she asked, having already gathered from Soren that Ryan looked out for his own. "Not really, but I generally pick up the slack. Soren's always getting himself into trouble, and Christy's usually right behind him. I just have the luck of bailing those two out half the time." "You watch over them like a big brother." "Soren's my little cousin. Of course I watch out for him. And Christy's just kind of always been there." Spooning more food onto her plate, Rain picked at it. "So noble," she laughed. "Hardly." Ryan looked up as he noticed they were one head short. "Where's Sam?" "He went upstairs to take a room. Want me to go get him?" "Let me come with you," he suggested. "I'm not gonna eat him if that's what you're worried about." "Actually, I was kind of thinking the other way around." With a stark look, Rain headed up. Turning down the hallway, she knocked on Sam's door. When he didn't respond, she reached out to try the knob, and it swung open, revealing the darkened room and a lump of bedsheets bundled near the top of the mattress. Ryan found it odd that the light switch didn't work and walked to the window to draw back the shades. Rain went straight for the covers, which she pulled off to expose the same horrific fiend from the night before. Staring at her with piercing yellow eyes, it brought a hand to its face as the light filtered in. What happened next was both revealing and startling, as the moment the sunlight touched it, the shadow was forced backward into the wall, and Sam opened his eyes, which were once again his own. Recoiling slightly, Rain looked unhinged. "It's breakfast time, you pain in the ass." "Do I look hungry to you?" "Get up, you have to eat." "I don't want to eat," he grumbled and laid back down. Rain insisted, and between the two of them, the sheets were ripped clean in half. "Oh, that's terrific. Look what you just did." "Look what you did for being lazy," she glared. "You don't want breakfast? Fine. Starve." "Just ignore him." Ryan followed her out of the room. "If he doesn't want to eat, more for us." "Exactly." She flipped him off. "Little brat." "He's sick. Cut him some slack." "Hey, no one can be nice all the time," Rain said as she sat back down. "I thought you said you met Soren." "I did, but I never said I didn't think he was a little off." "I know what you mean." With a polite smile, the vampire finished her meal. "So what now? We look for him?" "Yeah. You said this was the last place you saw him? There has to be some clues here. Though, to be honest, I'm not really sure where to start." "We could walk around," she suggested. Thinking it over, Ryan got up and went to toss his plate. "We might cover more ground in separate directions. I haven't seen Soren in over a month. The fact Christy's gone missing too worries me. Granted, they could just be goofing off somewhere, but I get the feeling it might not be that simple." Rain brushed her bangs from her eyes. "Think Sam will be alright by himself?" "He looked pretty out of it. I don't think he's going anywhere." "I'll see what I can find then." "Alright, I'll meet you back here in a few hours." Rain lit a cigarette before heading down the street. It bothered her that the boy had gone missing, especially since it hadn't been obvious. Racing toward the other side of town, Ryan had proposed they split up for a reason. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out the amulet and shortly after, summoned Vance. "Get up," he hissed, pocketing the charm as the dark portal spit him onto the ground. "I said get up."
"Alright already, keep your fucking pants on."
Straightening his posture, he brushed off his shirt and took a moment to survey his surroundings.
"Wait a minute, is this Greenville?"
"Never mind that, we have a job to do. You're gonna find my cousin, and no funny business."
"I told you already, dumbass, I don't know where he is."
"And that's why you're gonna find him." Meanwhile, back at the house, thanks to the curtains which had never been closed, Sam didn't get much sleep and eventually wound up abandoning all hope. Dragging himself out of bed, he lumbered down the stairs and was somewhat surprised to find he was alone. As he walked to the couch, he sat down for a second and removed his hat to run a hand through his hair. "Man, I could sure use a smoke. Wait a second, today's what?" Counting his fingers, he snapped them together. "Friday. That means school's in session." A thin smile crossed his face, and without hesitation, he bolted out the door straight in the direction of his old house. Jumping the white picket fence, he hurried across the lawn and slipped around back. There was a group of rocks scattered haphazardly within a flower bed, and it took him a second to find the fake one. Once he did, he knelt down and pried it open for the key. Please let them be at work. Sam listened for any sign of his parents. When he heard nothing, he assumed they were gone and quickly raced upstairs. Digging around for his stash, he went to pocket it and suddenly stopped. "Son of a bitch! That's where it all went!" A palm at the side of his face as he realized that in taking the pot, he'd inadvertently just stolen it from his past self. Fuck, man! Oh well. Stuffing the box back under the bed, he got up to leave when the sound of his mother's voice caught his attention. Sam, is that you? Oh, shit! Looking around for somewhere to hide, the footsteps neared the door and it slowly began to open. Doing the only thing he could think of, Sam threw himself against the back of the frame and held his breath as his mother stepped inside. That's strange, I could have sworn I heard... She left the door open and continued forward while Sam began to panic, though it suddenly occurred to him he was no longer human, and despite the voice in the back of his head, when his mother began to turn, he took a step forward, closed his eyes, and fell straight down through his own shadow. Dropping from the rafters, he hit the living room floor, and his gaze snapped upward as a void of black energy closed above him. Without bothering to wait, he bolted out the front and got about a block before he stopped to light one up. Man, it has been too long. Taking a drag, he leaned against the wired fence as the high school bell rang out in the distance. Wait a minute! School's in session! He suddenly dropped the smoke and ran. Meanwhile, Ryan reluctantly returned to the house while Vance followed behind. No luck? Rain called as she exhaled a plume of smoke. Could he be in a lake or something? I mean, that form he takes. It might have rained. She had spent the last half hour contemplating just that possibility. Choking back a scoff, Vance bit his lip and Ryan gave him a dark look. Are there any lakes around here that you know of? We could check the surrounding area. It's possible it could have happened if he was following us.
He wasn't following us,
Vance interjected.
Dildo over here was tracking me.
Clean out your mouth.
Be my guest,
he snickered, exposing a grin filled with razor-sharp teeth. He said he'd keep an eye on us. Rain ignored Vance. We should search bodies of water. That's our next best bet. There's a lake near the high school, isn't there? Brom Park or something to that effect? Vance gave a slight nod and began to pick at his nails while Rain flicked the butt in his direction. You think Haynes still asleep?
Not on your life.
Ryan just shrugged. Probably. Come on. Ushering them forward, he took off toward the high school where Sam was already headed. Hanging back, he purposely avoided the gym, assuming he didn't want to run the risk of encountering himself. Instead, he hurried off in search of the photography lab, knowing Matt spent most of his time there. Waiting impatiently for the bell, everyone else had cleared out, and sure enough, Matt left the room a couple of minutes later, to which Sam grabbed his arm. Hey, I need to talk to you. Throwing a swift glance to the side, he took one look at him and froze. Jesus Christ, what happened to you? That's what we gotta talk about. Not here, though. Sam, what's going on? I saw you not 15 minutes ago. What did you do? Matt stammered. Look, man, I know I've said a lot of stupid shit in the past, but if there's one thing you ever have to believe me about, it's gotta be this. Sam, what is going on? Matt was beginning to lose his patience. Why do you look like you're dead? Because I am, and so are you if you don't listen to me. Furrowing a brow, he clearly thought it was a euphemism and gave Sam a strange look. Dude, there's gonna be this trip. He was stopped as he noticed Ryan, Vance, and Rain heading in his direction. Matt spotted the three as well. Hey, isn't that Rain? Yeah, no shit, Sam hissed and quickly ran off. Bringing a hand to the side of his face, Ryan suddenly realized what was happening. That's his friend, right? He didn't wait for a response. That moron is trying to change the past. Stay here. Watching him take off, Vance slowly began to edge backward. Currently unaware of this, Ryan ran toward Matt, who caught his eye and turned. Hey, was that Sam Hain you were just talking to? Yes, why? What did he say to you? Nothing. What does it matter? It's important. He takes drugs, right? Ryan went off on a limb. Is that what this is about? Yeah, he gave a nod. He skimped out on a payment. Matt pulled out his wallet and began to shake his head. Ugh, how much? Hey, Ryan, Rain hurried over. We've got a problem. Vance just pulled a Houdini. He what? Oh, Christ. Keep your money. I've got bigger problems. Where did he go? I don't know, she growled. He just vanished. Can you bring him back with the summons? Ryan pulled the amulet from his pocket. He's not in range, bastard. Come on, we have to find him. Having purposely jumped far enough as not to be tracked, though he couldn't leave the area, he damn well tried. Reappearing at the edge of town, Vance stepped out of the void into a local graveyard. Throwing up the hood of the black jacket he was now wearing, he stuffed his hands in his pockets and began to wander.
Where is this place?
He wondered aloud, eyeing the stone plaques beneath him. Reading off the names in his head, he became so preoccupied that he wasn't looking where he was going and evidently walked straight into someone.
Hey, why don't you watch where you're going?
He snapped when he suddenly realized who he'd hit. Throwing a glance across her shoulder, Liz's eyes narrowed. You're the one who walked into me. Vance's gaze drifted from her to the headstone, which just so happened to belong to Rorik Ivory.
Oh, that's awkward.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
He took another step back and reached up to pull his hood down even farther. Do I know you from somewhere?
No, just passing through.
Ignoring the flower she held in her hands, Vance took more notice in the small red stone she was wearing around her neck. Rain had been telling the truth, and it came as quite a shock. Aware he was eyeing it, she reached down and placed a delicate hand across its surface. It was a gift from a friend.
You miss him?
Vance asked uneasily. Of course. He left before I got to say goodbye. The last thing I said to him was, well, not what I meant to say. As she knelt beside the stone, it was against his better judgment to do anything other than walk away. Unfortunately, Vance had never tended to listen to the voice inside his head when it told him not to do things.
And what if there was a way?
Liz slowly looked back.
I mean, if you could see him again.
Getting to her feet, she began to regard him strangely. And how would I do that?
You kinda already are.
Blinking back a rush of surprise, her eyes widened and she took a step forward. Rorik?
Well, not anymore,
Vance admitted as she went to pull back his hood.
I wouldn't do that,
he warned. Well, you're not me, are you? She threw it back anyways. Meeting his gaze, when she saw his eyes, she recoiled. He'd expected her to react in such a way, but it didn't mean he wasn't bothered by it. Turning to walk off, before he'd gotten more than 3 paces, he was forced to stop as she bolted forward and wrapped her arms around him. Don't go. There was a long pause before he spoke.
I have to.
Are you kidding?
No. I have some unpleasant people on my trail, and if they catch up...
Well, then they can take it up with me.
It doesn't work that way, Liz.
To hell it doesn't.
Look, I'm serious. If they find you with me...
They'll do what? I'll take care of it. Now come on, you've got a lot of explaining to do, mister. Grabbing him by the arm, she pulled him toward a bench. It seemed that some things never changed, as Vance was reluctantly forced to sit down while Liz stood over him like a scolding mother.
I really can't stick around,
he said, but there was no arguing. Well, that's too bad, because I have a lot of questions, and I'm not leaving this spot until they're answered, and that means neither are you. Now, why don't we start with the simple ones?
Simple ones?
He looked uneasy. Yeah, like maybe you want to tell me your real name? I'm pretty sure it's not Rorik.
How'd you guess?
She pushed him back as he tried to get up. I don't think so. Sit there and explain yourself. Name, now. Drawing a deep breath, Vance sighed as he told her. For Rorik, she said suddenly.
What?
The first day we met, when you almost ran me over in the hallway. I asked you your name, and you slipped up. It took him a moment to recall, although when he did, he bit his lip.
Oh, yeah, I kinda did.
Watching from afar, Ryan's jaw dropped as he saw the cheeky teenage girl order Vancelyn LeChance into a bench. What's more, that he actually obliged her. You see, Ryan stammered. If I wasn't seeing this with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it.
Vancelyn, huh?
Liz raised a brow.
Most people just call me Vance.
I think I prefer the other one.
Suit yourself, Elizabeth.
Don't get cheeky. Now, question number 2. This one's a little harder, so don't hurt yourself. What happened to all the middle schoolers around here? Furrowing a brow, he looked up.
Wait, what?
Come on, I know you had something to do with the high schoolers. It only makes sense that you would have something to do with... Hey, wait a minute! She suddenly reached out and smacked him across the head. You killed Mr. Puss!
Ow, Liz, that hurt. I don't know what you're talking about, and I didn't eat your cat.
Don't lie to me, Vance. She emphasized his name, and he cringed. I walked in on you in my kitchen. You were eyeing Mr. Puss for dinner, weren't you?
Okay, fine. But then I learned his name.
And just what is so funny?
Mr. Puss? Are you fucking kidding? I wouldn't eat something named that if you paid me.
Vance began to chuckle, and she reached out to hit him again.
You know, you should get a Cocker Spaniel to go with Mr. Puss. I'm sure they'd have a lot of fun.
Liz's jaw dropped, and she turned a bright red. Can we go? Ryan grumbled. Yeah, we can go. Ryan got up. Right after I put that vulgar thing back in its box. Hurry up, I'm ready to lose my breakfast. Careful, though, if you disappear him in front of her, Juliet might get ideas. I know how to deal with this, he said as he walked toward the two of them. Hey, you, with the blonde. The humor immediately left Vance's face, and he bolted out of his seat. What the... Hey! Liz stammered as he pushed her behind him. Come on, Vance, didn't your parents ever teach you not to play with your food?
Shut the fuck up,
he hissed. Excuse me? Liz placed her hands on her hips. How dare you speak to me like that? Can it, girlie? Do you even know what that thing is? That thing, as you call him, is my boyfriend, and yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Both boys' eyebrows rose as Liz walked up to Ryan, who actually took a step back. Now apologize.
Liz, what are you doing?
Vance asked nervously. I don't stand for bullies. Something I learned from you, as a matter of fact. Now, are you going to apologize, or am I going to have to get rough? Look, Liz, was it? I think you should just go home. This is a lot bigger than you realize, and you're only gonna get hurt. Not as badly as you are. She suddenly bitch-slapped Ryan across the face while Rain appeared at his side. Looking faintly amused, she said nothing to Liz, although she was quite ready to break her arm if she got any idea about striking her. Before she had the chance, however, Vance grabbed her arm.
Liz, don't. She's Satan. She'll destroy you.
Excuse me? This is coming from you, Mr. I Eat People?
That's exactly why you should believe me.
He nodded. Actually, speaking of which, you never answered my question. She placed her hands on her hips again and glared at him. What happened to those middle schoolers?
Middle schoolers?
Yeah, you know, the 15 kids who've gone missing over the last 2 weeks? Vance's expression darkened.
I haven't been here. If you don't believe me, you can ask Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They've been keeping me on a real tight leash.
Looking toward the others, Liz tilted her head. Shut your fat mouth, Vancelin, Rain hissed at his jibe. There's no way this jackass could have made it this far for a snack. Besides, he demolished an entire zoo. Liz looked at Vance.
What? You've never had an animal cracker before?
Whoa, hold up a minute, Ryan intervened. What were you saying about these disappearances? Looking back at him, Liz sighed. Nobody really knows, and if it wasn't him, she jerked a thumb toward Vance, then I'm not sure. There was a potential eyewitness to one of the cases. An elderly woman said she saw a boy get thrown into a white van. The kid she described was never reported missing, so nobody thought much of it. Ryan paled. What did she say he looked like? I don't remember. Blonde, short kid, white clothes?
Well, that sucks,
Vance scoffed. A white van? Rain seemed confused. Soren was kidnapped? Wouldn't he be able to get himself out of that mess? Christy's missing too.
Really now?
Vance arched a brow.
You think it's Frankenstein?
I think things just got complicated. Frankenstein? What the hell are you guys talking about? This is where we part ways, Rain. If what she's saying is true, I can't put you in that kind of danger. How about you tell me what's going on first and let me decide for myself? The man's a geneticist, Ryan sighed. He's also insane. I've never dealt with him directly, but I've heard stories. Bad ones. If he's got Soren, he's using him as bait, which means he probably has Christy too. A geneticist? Rain asked with a frown. A human? We could get them back. It's not that simple. It's not him that's the problem either. It's the things he does. The things he creates. What does he create? Fiends. That's why he steals kids. I've been told that once you go down into that place, you never come back out again. The vampire stopped, eyes flickering blue. Her mentor had never directly brought up the details, but Rain knew enough to suddenly grow very nervous. His name is Convera, right? You've heard of him? I know he steals children, but I thought he stayed to one town. He does. Perhaps something tipped him off? Ryan looked at Vance. He was causing a disturbance. Frankenstein might have noticed. Come on, we have to find Sam. Like it or not, we're gonna need all the help we can get. Sam? Liz furrowed a brow. That's easy. He's probably at school.
They're not referring to the Sam you know, Liz. Just go home.
I'm not going anywhere, honey, she said with crossed arms. I'm coming with you. Vance looked back at Ryan and Rain.
I hate you both, but could you please help me out here?
She's your problem now, Romeo. We've got bigger issues. Thank you, Rain, Liz said with a grin.
You suck.
Come on, Vance, Ryan pointed out of the cemetery. Move it. Grumbling beneath his breath, he started forward, dragging Liz along with him as she clung to him like a growth. I wish I had a camera. That is just too funny. And nauseating. So tell me more about this guy, Ryan. Like, where can we find him? It's a place called Cypress Town. It's just north of here, actually. That's where he's supposed to have his base. I heard they shut it down a while ago, but the guy owns the police as well as half the feds in the area. It was probably just a cover-up. So a human with power. Yeah, Ryan shuddered as they headed back toward Leah's. A lot of power. Waiting at the door, Vance picked at his nails. You just can't wait to make out with her, can you? Rain taunted. Go suck on someone's... Liz jabbed an elbow into his side and he looked down. We have to work on that mouth of yours, she scoffed while Rain flipped him off. Hey, Vance, why don't you explain to Liz why you killed those 2 hookers? Excuse me?
It's not what you think,
he grumbled. Oh, really? Walking toward the door, Ryan pushed it open, having no desire to hear the rest of that conversation.